you for visiting the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast, where we share the big and most interesting cycling stories from across the continent of Africa and from around the world where African cyclists are racing and riding.
With the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift kicking off in just a few days on Saturday in Lausanne, we caught up with Kim Lecourt's Pienaar on the official AG Insurance Sudal press conference to hear her thoughts and answers to several journalists on some key topics and issues.
Hi Kim, how are you?
Yeah, good. Good, thank you.
Where are you right now?
In Girona.
So yeah, Tour de France. I think quite exciting for you. Maybe you can kick off. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's been a roller coaster road until now, but the hard work is done. It's been a good time in altitude with the team, and we are in good spirits and good vibes. And yeah, excited to see what can be done.
Kim, if you can, we know that you're in Girona. Can you develop a little bit more about what you've been doing and where you've been since the nationals? Already 6 weeks ago almost.
Yeah, I went straight to France to Tignes. So I met the team in Tignes we spent 3 weeks there, training, prepping for the tour and with the stuff. And yeah, it's been nice. It was the first time for us there in France. So it was a good discovery, new roads. So really nice to train on different roads and yeah, being a bit in our bubble and, getting the form up to where it should be for the tour and being a bit in our team, I would say in our team bubble to kind of prep, mentally together as one for the one goal. And yeah, it's been good. And I just came back to Girona, I would say 4 or 5 days ago only. So yeah, also good to be back home for a few days before everything gets crazy again.
Who was with you for that camp?
It was myself, Mireia, Leticia, Eushka, Laura, one of our teammates, Julie. It was 6 of us, yeah.
I mean, I've just spoken with your sports director, with Jolene, and she was talking about the kind of tests that you've been doing during racing in Switzerland, and then the fact that you make plans in training. What were you working on, and what kind of level or what things do you need for this Tour de France?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm still discovering myself as a rider and as a leader and as a, in general, as a road cyclist. To be honest, I've been in this for 2.5 years now, and I still don't feel like I found myself yet. Of course, we have an idea of what my potential and capabilities are on the road bike, but I feel like we've not reached at full potential yet. So yeah, of course, in Swiss, I mean, I've gone through obviously the crash in Flanders. So for me to go to Swiss was a bit of a challenge, mentally and physically, because I had no idea where I would be and what my level would be at the time. But yeah, Swiss was more of a let's not stress about it and see what my body can do. And with 2 months or 1.5 months of training, where I am and what my base is and what we need to improve until the tour. So it was more test and more training than anything else. And then of course in teen, it was more of the little last adjustments of preparation to the tour.
As you say, you have the potential to do many different things. How much of a different rider are you now before a Tour de France than you were before Flanders earlier this year?
Yeah, I think quite different in terms of physiology and also mental. I think prepping for classics is completely different to prepping for a Grand Tour. The classic is you just going for one day, and I think the pressure is much higher because you've just got one shot. In a Grand Tour, I feel like you've got more opportunities, but it's also quite scary in a way because you need to stay healthy for 9 days. You need to make sure you're on top of your game for 9 days. You need to make sure mentally you are still, in for the fight and that the mental doesn't go down. So there's a lot of different aspect of mental and physical aspect in terms of an athlete. But yeah, I would say I'm still the same person. I just have more hunger now because I've missed a lot of races and I've missed out on a lot of opportunities in the beginning of the season. And yeah, doing a tour like we did last year, I think we have more experience in terms of what we expect to come. And if the result come, we know how to handle those. So I think in general, as a team, we are much more, we've grown a lot and we come in a bit more prepared.
I wanted to ask you, it's very interesting what you say about maybe not finding your full potential or your limits? Obviously, you had some really big successes last year at the Tour, and hopefully you'll be going in with kind of bigger ambitions this year off the back of that. But what do you kind of see as the kind of aims you can set yourself, realistic things that you want to achieve or feel like you can achieve this Tour?
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite similar to last year. I think we come in, as I said, with a bit more experience and a bit more ambition. Now it's more of a we know what we can do, and we know we've done it before, so we want to do it again. Of course, stage wins will be the first objective, and then of course we want to aim for the highest result as possible, which would be top 5. And anything above that is obviously a bonus. But we like to take it as it comes, and I think we are not the team that everyone would look at, and I think everyone else that goes there, the other teams have much more experience and much more years that they've been doing this and going for GCs and things like that. So I think, we are going a bit more as the underdogs, and we just want to do the best we can, and we know we can. We've trained hard for it. We have the potential, but first we aim for stage wins, and then we'll see what comes out of it.
It's interesting that you say you feel a bit like underdogs. I think from the outside, and from what you're saying about like the team is really, really improving every year and really on the up. What do you think is maybe behind that, or is that just kind of the wave and trajectory of the peloton in general?
Well, I mean, I say we are underdogs because it's only been the past 2 years that we've kind of been there constantly on the result list. And other teams have riders that's been up there in GCs for years, for the past 5-6 years in Grand Tours. I wouldn't say the Tour because the Tour hasn't been there for 5-6 years, but in Grand Tours and in most big races, those riders have always been constantly there on the podium, winning the races. So I think for us, we come in with much less experience as a whole, if you count years together, but we've learned and we've gained a lot of experience at once last year in 9 days. So I think we can take a lot out of that. So I would think people would mostly watch those riders and those teams. Also, I mean, last year, we also went for stage wins and see what can be done out of it, and it was a great year. But it was also kind of a wow, okay, we knew we could do something special, but we didn't know it was going to be that amazing. So it was more of a wow bonus shock to the system. And this year we come more with okay, heads on the shoulders. We know what to come, and we know what's to come, and we know what our potential is as a team. So I think it's a bit normal that people would see us as underdogs. I mean, I don't know how the people see us on the outside. I can just talk about how we would put ourselves in amongst the rest.
On the route itself, we have a good idea of what the hardest and most important stages will be kind of from the outside, but are there any that you're looking at as that might be particularly key, or there might be opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I can't obviously say too much, but all I can say is that we really like the course, and it suits us pretty well as a team. So yeah, there will be a few opportunities.
I was just wondering what you know about Mont Ventoux and what kind of challenge does this represent for you?
I rode up once in Recon, so I've never done it before, just once a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's nice. I think it's a climb I actually enjoy more than Madeleine. It's I think suits me better than a col like a Madeleine. So yeah, I think it's a nice climb, and I think it's a majestic climb to go up. And for women's cycling in general, I think it's going to be pretty cool that we get the opportunity to go up there.
So you had that crash at Flanders and missed the races, but how much did that affect your training and preparation? Was it a long time like out of training properly, or was it relatively quick?
No, it wasn't relatively quick, unfortunately. I was off. I had a brace, so I was basically in a brace for 2 weeks after surgery. So I wasn't allowed to really sweat and anything like that, which is normal with when you get surgery. But I got to get on the bike after 2 weeks, but super slow. And I luckily got the permission from the team to go home and spend a month there. And, that was the best for me to recover. Mentally, it was also the best thing. And there were some complications, so it wasn't really a smooth sailing. But now we put everything behind us, and it's over now. So now it's just dealing with still rehab of the wrist and making sure everything's fine. And I've got a good team behind me. So they're looking after me pretty well and making sure that my rehab and recovery goes well. So I tend to put that behind. It hasn't been a smooth road mentally, physically, but good things are to come now.
We spoke a lot about your roots in Mauritius a few years ago when you really came up on the international scene. what is remaining inside you from Mauritius? Do you really feel now comfortable in Europe? Do you sometimes have kind of homesick?
I think the question is what is not remaining. I think nothing is gone. I think everything is still in me from where I come from. And yeah, I used to actually live in South Africa, and I moved to Mauritius this year. So for me, that's also super important to know that when I actually go home, now I really truly go home at the end of the season. So that makes it better as a whole. That my house and my base and my husband, and I go back to them and I go back to my family when I go back home. So that's great. But yeah, for sure, I found my feet a bit in Europe, and I think it's also just I don't think everyone would find their feet so easily, but I think I'm just in such a good team and such a good space that it's easy for me to be happy and to perform. And my husband is the best support I have, and the person that's closest to me. If they understand what you go through and all the sacrifices and being away from home, and they still support and stand by your side, then that's I think how you perform the best. And I'm lucky to have all those boxes ticked.
Many thanks, Kim. That was some really interesting insight, and I love that. And we always love the fact that Kim is very open and honest with her answers. Clearly, like, she's very passionate about the sport, but she likes to really share her feelings and how she's doing, and some great questions from the journalists about homesickness and the injury she's had and how she's getting on. And her honesty is always refreshing. So we really hope you enjoyed today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast. If you like what you have heard, please do share our podcast with your friends and on social media. Leave us a review or even make a donation to Africa Rising Cycling. All of this will help us to continue to bring you fascinating stories about African cycling.